Here we are once again, sorry, and let's imagine that with this example we wish to replace the sky part of the image. Now I ask you, without your knowledge of masking techniques and creating layer masks and channel masks, how would you possibly do it? Well, if you are really struggling, or a novice, or maybe following some magazine tutorial, they may ask you to grab for the magic wand or the quick selection tool. That would be a mega crucial mistake. You may know something of selecting by color range. Again, that's not really going to do the job for you. But with our knowledge of channels and what they can do for us, the job should be quite simple, really. So once again, let's check out the channels. I'll press from the keyboard Control 1. There's the red channel, that's Control 1 there, look. Control 2, Control 3. Well, it's an easy guess. We'll use the blue channel, we'll copy that, and we'll develop the mask with our levels. We'll make the whites white and the blacks black. So let's go up there and let's check that we've got some nice whites in there. And let's make the blacks black. I think that should do us quite nicely. There'll be some touch-ups to do after we finish, but will be very minor touch-ups to do. And there we go. So let's copy the background layer, Control J. Let's go to our channels palette and load this as a selection. You can control click with the mouse on here, or you can drag this down to there. And there's also a keyboard shortcut. I'm just going to deselect, and if you are still in the layers palette, Control Alt, and don't forget our extra channel here is channel 4, and you can press Control Alt and 4 on the keyboard. That would load the extra channel as a selection there. So while that selection's active, I'll add the channel mask. Let's turn off this background layer. Now once again the mask is back to front. That's no problem. We need to invert the mask, the colours of the mask. On the keyboard, Control I for invert. And you can see, because I've turned the background layer off, we're now looking through to transparency. I'm going to go into the window mode on the computer now by pressing the F key once and twice. That was the letter F. I'm going to open up a sky. Again, these are all just sample images I've downloaded from Google Images, and so we've got this sky image here. Open. This is the active layer. We can see it's the active layer because it's selected in the layers palette. With the mouse, I'll click and drag and drop over onto our tree image. Clicking on the sky image, we can close that now. I'll press the F key once, and once again to go into our full screen mode. There's the sky. It's currently in the wrong layer stacking order. It wants to be underneath our active layer, so I've dragged it with the mouse and pulled it down underneath. If I name this layer sky, it may be a bit easier for you to see. I renamed the layer by double clicking its name in the layers palette and then renaming by typing it over. Okay, let me zoom out slightly. That was Control and minus on the keyboard to zoom out. I'll select the move tool here in the layers palette, in the tool palette. Now let's go into transform mode to transform this sky out. That would be on the keyboard Control T. That puts you into transform mode. I'll drag these handles out this way, and we'll drag these handles out that way. I'll hit enter, the enter key on the keyboard, and as you can see that's perfectly masked in really nicely around the trees. There are some touch-up jobs to do on the mask, but pretty simple. I'll click on the mask here and we'll grab our brush, let's change over to white there, and just paint back in some of the areas which are missing. I'm noticing on the bark branch areas of the tree, some of the leaves here, and you get the idea how quick and easy this is to do. And there we go, it looks just about perfect. There's a few little bits there, there's a tiny bit there. Now don't forget what we've actually done with this image. We've replaced the sky, and specifically we've replaced one blue sky with a different blue sky, shall we say. The other one was rather bland, and I'll show you that now. That was our starting bland blue sky, and we've replaced it with another blue sky that's got some more interesting cloud details, a little bit darker and denser, and makes for a more pleasing image. But the reason I'm specifically mentioning this is, don't forget with your masking tasks, don't try to do the impossible. Replacing one blue sky with a better blue sky, was quite a conceivable and feasible task for us to do. Had I ever wanted to replace that sky with some sort of evening sunset golden sky, then the task may not have worked so well, and you're just asking too much of yourself, especially with this kind of spiky, leafy looking detail here. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done, I'm just saying that the job would have been much more difficult and a harder task to achieve. So be realistic, that's what I'm saying with your wants and needs for your images. Just try be a little bit realistic, as I say. So that's a good example of another good example of creating a mask, a channel mask, loading it in as a selection, bringing another file in, and then just a little bit at the end there, a bit of a touch up just to show you how easy that is. If I zoom into this image, you really can see just what a terrific job we've got going on here. If you're worried about some of the edges again with these images, if you feel that some of the edges are showing signs of not being quite so tight or not being as precise as you want, then don't forget there's the mask. Again, we can choke the mask with a further levels adjustment, so we can either pull it this way, maybe not so much, and you can see that's got rid of some of the very, very slight feathering across the edge that was going on there. I'll show you a preview before and after. I'll click OK, and that's just about as perfect a masking job as you're ever going to get, basically. Pretty simple. I can't imagine how you would do that otherwise, and with such a fantastic and quick and really very, very accurate result.